This is Zagrave, Roger French, and you're listening to Gaming in BS, episode 370, being recorded December 13th, 2021.
Welcome to Gaming in BS, Tabletop RPG Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome back. Glad everybody's here. That was a good intro, man. Short, punchy, good stuff. I like it. Clear.
Yeah, Roger does the job. Comes in.
Absolutely does the job. Very well done.
Yeah, if you're interested in doing an episode, I think there's a pretty big gap coming up. I don't know. It's so you head over to gaminginbs.com/intro sign up and record 30 seconds, and I'll put it in a place where we can download it, please.
If nothing else, if you don't do that, you got to listen to Sean intro another year's worth of episodes. So hey,
that's true.
Let's just stop the madness now. Christmas will be here and New Year's, and then wham, BSer Con. So Sean, where do we go to find out more about BSer Con?
Yeah, get your events in if you're interested in running. Go to gaminginbs.com/BSERCON. It'll take you to the con website where you can submit an event. And then we're going to have them open for about a week so people can look at it and drool. And then on the 10th, we're going to open event registration, event sign up. And then that's it. And then we play on the 28th, 29th, and 30th. So
nice.
We've had a few submissions come through within the last couple days. And if you are a game master that is on the fence, or maybe haven't run a ton, maybe you haven't game mastered yet, or you've only done 1 or 2 sessions and you're not really confident, with being a game master yet, this would be the online con. If you can do it online, feel comfortable doing it online, this would be the con to do it, because BSers aren't going to steer you wrong. They're not going to ruffle any feathers and challenge you in a...
This is going to be good people trying to have a good time and help you have fun.
Yes. So don't be afraid to submit an event.
What was that website again? gaminginbs.com
/BSer Con.
BS.
All one word. Oh my God, Brett.
It still works. Very good. Random encounter. Do we have anything today?
We have no. Sure? I don't know. I didn't put any in there. Well, there was no emails. There was no calls.
Let's just go right to the topic. Let's just jump right in.
Yeah,
let's go.
Course.
Get it done.
What are we talking about this week, Brett?
Well, Sean, this kind of accidentally kind of falls in line with the shitty day you're having. What happens when our dice turn on us? When you've got a bad day at work and you sit down and you're like, let's roll some D20s.
Very easy, man. Melt them into a puddle of plastic.
If you're anything like Sean or I.
And go out and put them out into the environment.
Just throw them into
plastic everywhere.
Plastic everywhere. Nice.
So if this is your first episode of Gaming in BS, we're not climate deniers or environmental wasteoids, but you just caught me on a bad day.
We're just crabby today. So the fact of the matter is, both Sean and Brett have terrible luck with dice. I have run D20 games for Sean. I've run a D6 based game, Gumshoe, and Sean still can't roll dice with a single D6. Hard to do. My players know I roll my AD&D dice in the open. I need to make a saving throw. I better roll over an 8. Click 3. Are you kidding me? That shit happens to me all the time. My dice are terrible. So it's not just dice. You pick your randomizer of choice. Anytime there's randomness in a game system, there's the chance that you're going to have a bad night. John Wick has talked about this, where he hates certain levels of randomization in game systems simply because you could look at a bell curve, you could look at the math, you could say, this is how often this should work. And if you roll 2d6, this is the mean, the median, the blah, 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 blah. He's like, that has nothing to do with how certain people tend to roll. Right? And we've all seen that person who's always on a roll, You swear to God they've got to be cheating. You pick up the
they're
dice,
cheaters.
you look at them, you check them from weight.
That's why they're so good. They're cheating.
Probably are.
String them
Fucking
up.
players. But there's also plenty of people like Sean. When I run a game and Sean's playing, he's going to roll for shit. Just a fact. That guy put a D20 in Sean's hand. Might as well just give him a D4.
If I were to game tonight, I would be bad news.
You'd be bad news.
I would be so pissed because my dice would inevitably follow the pattern of the day.
So when we show up to game night, we want to have a good time, right? We want to have fun. We're
Yeah.
here with our friends.
Fun.
We have a good time.
Zippity doo dah out of our assholes.
Yeah. So this is very player facing, quite frankly. I'm not talking from a game master perspective. You're like, oh, you can always fudge the dice. You could do this. No. Let's take that, put game master mentality aside for a second. Just think about it from a player. One of the things that I have found is that if I or anyone in my group, I'm watching them and my partners where we're playing and Zave's having a bad day or whatever it is, and he's staring at his character sheet looking for the answer. Like, oh my God, I can't. Everything I'm doing is failing. All my skill checks fail. I'm trying to attack. I can't roll high enough. Oh my God. I have personally learned that what I start to do is I do not look to my character sheet to solve all my problems, because the skills and all the dice rolls basically live on that damn thing. And that character sheet has a tendency, for Brett anyway, and from some gamers I've seen, to kind of make us want to use that randomizer, right? You're trying to figure out how many pluses you can wring out of that little character sheet and get yourself a chance to roll finally above an 8 or above a 2 or whatever you're doing. One of the things I have realized is that this is where, quite frankly, I think I started taking better notes. What is my character learning? Taking better notes, understanding the world, the NPCs, all the different stuff we're finding out, all the clues and so forth, because I want to, if my dice have failed me, my notes won't, right? Insofar as like, hey, I think, Tomlinson, the butcher, may have some of the information we want, because I've got a note here that said he offered to talk to us privately. We just never took him up on it. I wonder if we should go bug him, right? And then I can look at someone and go, look, I'm not talking to him. I'm just saying, here's a good idea, because my dice are ice cold. Eileen's are hot. You get in there and you go have the conversation. You got the better charisma. You got the better pluses. Go do that. So for me, I start to stay away from my character sheet. And the other reason I say that is because there's a lot of rules in many different systems, at least the ones that I'm playing and so forth, that have help mechanics or other ways that you can provide assistance. My character sheet normally does not, if there's a flanking bonus, doesn't say, hey, excuse me, here's all the different combat maneuvers, and these maneuvers are helping maneuvers, like providing flank bonuses. I played many a Pathfinder game where I watched, I've run many a Pathfinder game, I should say, where I watched one of my players having a shitty day with their dice decide, I'm the flank guy. I can't hit shit, doesn't matter, but I will go around from combat to combat and provide flank bonuses for as many of my followers or friends as I can, right? Or the help mechanic, when you're trying to do something, and you're like, look, my dice suck, but, so-and-so playing the dwarf, or this person trying to, break this computer hack, whatever it is, can I help them? Yes, you'll give them an advantage on their die roll. You give them a +2. Fine, I did my part. I don't have to roll dice because my dice suck tonight, but I'm still helping move the adventure along by doing that. And I really think, apart from like those types of things, I really started leaning into taking better character notes, giving people advice, ideas, like what they could do. Like, hey, I've got an idea. Your character, we talked to so-and-so and so-and-so in the Call of Cthulhu game. Why don't you go over here? You check that out. I'm going to go down here. Trying to coordinate and organize, because again, I have all these cool notes about what's going on, what I've learned, and what we as a group have learned. And sometimes that's just as helpful or more so than rolling yet another library use roll. Don't need to roll library use roll, because I know for a fact that the book we're talking about in this Cthulhu game is either at the Redmond estate, Lady Avelina's place, or this, or this. I have these in my notes. I can lay that out there, remind people, and then push the game forward. So those are just a few things off the top of my head, Sean, that I have done when I'm playing, and my dice start to hate me. I'm like, they're cold. Finding my help mechanics, finding my way to pass bonuses to people, and then kind of that role-playing aspect of where my character remembers by going through notes and then providing the intel to others. Is there anything that do you like that, or anything that you've done to kind of add in there? What do you think?
It's nothing I've done, but I think if it happened to me again, I just probably would try to do things that didn't involve dice.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if it requires a die roll, which is probably going to be like the game master bringing something up, but if I guess I'd hate to turtle up, because that's one way to do it.
If you're playing a game like Savage Worlds, or if you've got bennies of any kind, any kind of other chips and tokens of that type of economy, the other thing I've done is I try to give inspiration to people or pass a benny over, right? I've played fantasy games with hero points where I'm like, can I give him my hero point? Well, you could use it for yourself. Have you seen my fucking dice? This is a +4. That's all this is. I can't roll above a 3. I give it to the fighter, right? So that's another thing I've done. Again, I'm not using dice, but I'm passing benefit out to other people by taking, if nothing else, the other thing that does for me is, even if I'm burning those bennies in a Savage Worlds game perspective, from what I've learned from talking to Ron Blessing and you and other folks, is that keeps that economy flowing. And in Fate, when I played Fate Accelerated, burning through Fate points and moving things and doing stuff, even if you're failing, you keep the action moving, right? Through spending points and burning through stuff, you keep things hopping.
Yeah. I think so. If I were playing a game like Genesis, Fantasy Flight Game, Star Wars, the narrative dice system, dice pools, like Year Zero Engine, like Forbidden Lands, some of those games wouldn't bother me if I had crappy dice rolls. Because of
the narrative aspects of it?
Because of the narrative aspects of it, because people would say, dude, failure sometimes is a fun part of the game. But I think it depends on the game that you're playing.
Absolutely does. I mean, if you look at the fail forward concept, right, like you're talking about, let's take Power of the Apocalypse games. You win, or you fail, however. Yeah, you're dead right. Some of those, it does depend on the game and how the game is being run.
Yeah, those don't, I could play Star Wars and fail all day and not really have,
feel it.
Would not a big deal. Plus, you can fail in those games and have advantage.
Correct.
Right? That's part of the show. And I think with some games, like if I, played Pathfinder, D&D 5e, your traditional fantasy game that's a pass-fail, that's it. You roll pass-fail. Now, I understand that you can narrate, the outcome or whatever, but it is pass-fail. People will say that it's not, you can implement these degrees of failure if you fail by 5 or more and stuff like that. But let's face it, you roll the dice, you don't hit the target number, it's a fail. Boom, bam, done, move on.
Yep, you can have multiple fail states. There's different tweaks and things you can do, but as written, that's the base concept. Yeah.
So with the other games, it doesn't bother me as much. But if 5e specifically is going south, it just could make for a miserable experience. And one thing that even Blake kind of mentioned in the chat quick was when he was playing Vampire the Masquerade, he says, his Nosferatu thug failed 5 rolls in a row when trying to feed. And then the person got away, and then the other PCs treated him like a joker loser, I'm guessing his character specifically. So then what happens is everybody thinks it's funny and it's a joke, which probably can be. But then
it can also be incredibly frustrating, and you can feel like you're getting picked on.
Well, now you're it's now it's your character can't do anything right, and it's weird because you're like, hey, I'm kind of playing a serious game. Maybe you're playing Delta Green, hey, Delta Green, man, serious, cool, or Call of Cthulhu, man, getting into this D&D, whatever. And then all of a sudden, 5 in a row, you're like, you're like kind of a bumbling idiot character when you're supposed to be like kick-ass Van Helsing. Yeah, man, kick ass. And then you show up and you're like, Benny Hill.
Exactly. Knights Black Agents, you're supposed to be, Jason Bourne, often vampires, and you're like, wow, I can't tie my fucking shoes apparently because I no matter what I do, I'm failing. I'm falling over myself. Yeah.
So
I think
it's a tough.
It does.
Brett's talking about. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm pointing out the scenarios. Brett's trying to come up with the solutions and the alternatives, and I just think that, I don't know. I sometimes wonder if just walking away from the damn table is the way to go. Like,
The other thing I found is that there's such a thing as like if you're having a shitty day, right? Let's say tonight was D&D night. For Sean and Brett.
God, here we go.
And I said, hey, Sean, you want to play tonight? And he'd be like, man, I had a fucked up day, blah, blah, blah. I, as game master, would say to Sean, you want to cancel tonight? No, dude, look, you've had a fucked up day. If you're not going to come and have fun, if you'd rather just sit home, watch some Netflix, have a beer, and not deal with this shit, I don't care. Sometimes that's not a bad idea. But I think one of the pieces, this is where some people say play better games or play a game that's more suited to you or whatever. And that's fine and that's cute and that's all well and good. But I think even there are things that I've done as players. I've seen my players do to me is they'll say things like in my AD&D game, there's it's very open for interpretation because it's first edition and there's not a lot of hard and fast on certain aspects of role-playing or handing out bonuses or whatever. And even in 5e, somebody could say, look, I'm going to fail this combat roll. I'm purposely going to open myself up. My fighter can't hit, right? So I'm going to engage with this bad guy. And I know I can't hit. My dice are ice cold. All I want to do is give advantage to the next person who attacks. Right? Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, well, it's the wizard was going to cast a spell and blah, maybe they don't, or maybe they do or whatever. Or sometimes it's because this happens in my AD&D game. Someone will be like, look, I don't give a fuck if I hit him or not. I'm just trying to set up the thief for the backstab. That's all I want to do. If thief may miss the backstab roll, don't care. I just think it's the best opportunity I have to take this fucker down now. Can I give him a bonus on that if I fail this combat roll? Like if I purposely kind of throw myself in the way, do something distracting. And I'm like, you know what? Done. I get a free shot at you, but Dave gets a +2 or a +4 or something like that. So I've done that type of thing. And I think in certain games, and I think you can do that easier than in others. And that's where I got to, Sean, when I said, depending how it's being run. Because if I'm running 5e and we're playing and doing whatever, and you're having a shit night, you say, look, we're using the flanking rolls, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do, I'm going to just, take my two-handed sword and just throw it at the fucker. I don't even try to hurt him. I'm just trying to absolutely distract him so that the next person gets a bonus or something, gets advantage on the goddamn roll. I just need to do something to help somebody out here.
So many dumb things that you try to do that the game master's still going to require a roll for.
And that's where I think that comes, again, down to how it's being run. Sometimes you can't get away from it because the game master goes, well, you still need to make a roll. All right, fine. I think that's a different discussion because I want to stay focused on the players. I think by trying to do that stuff, though, is a way to try to find some fun in the failure. Some systems, as you said very correctly, I think, make failure more fun. And I think another thing to do is Zbashi talks about this in one of his he does the animated spellbook stuff on YouTube. He talks about the kind of leaning into the bad and just literally laughing at yourself or going, oh my God, I can't hit. I charge in anyway. Dude, your dice are cold. Don't care. I'm the fighter. All right. I hope the cleric's back there to just give me a swat on the ass because I'm going to need some healing spells. I can't hit for nothing. Right. And sometimes you can actually build an entire character's persona on the fact that I can't roll dice. you could lean into it that way. Role-playing wise.
Yeah, you can become the laughing stock of your party anytime you
Doesn't
want.
have to be the laughing stock. You can be the guy who decides to like, look, my job is to take the damage so everybody else can take the bad guy down. My job isn't to dish out damage. I stand here, I swing and I miss. That's fine, but I have 87 fucking hit points. The rest of you have 20. So I hold the fire giant off while the rest of you drop him. Fine by me. I just trap the motherfucker right here. He can't leave because I'm on top of him.
I would do probably all-out defense.
Yeah. And that's where I'm talking about.
D&D. What do you do? All-out defense. Not going to do
that's what I'm
anything else?
talking about.
Nope.
Yeah, where your character sheet doesn't always have all the answers. Because not every character sheet has all the different combat options. Full defensive, flanking, help mechanics, blah, 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 all that stuff in it. Last time I looked at a Savage World sheet, it didn't tell you exactly how you could spend all your bennies, who you could give them to, when you could use them. The Fate Accelerated game, the Dresden Files game, that character sheet did not tell me, hey, here's all the different ways you could do this, that, and the other thing to try to give advantage to people or improve your die rolls in some way or improve somebody else's die rolls, right? So that's why I think sometimes some of the language we can use to the game master and or the players around us is like, look, my dice suck. Is there any way that I could give an advantage of some kind or give a bonus to Eileen's character? Can I help Ange out? Can I help Harrigan if I do something to give him a bonus while he attacks the dragon? Or I just need to hold off the guard while so-and-so hacks the terminal so we can get past the magnetic lock. Can I don't even need to kill these guys. Is there something I can do just to give him a boost? Just so we could get through here faster. What is there something mechanically I can do? And when I've had players ask me that question with those types of words, that's often brought to mind like, oh yeah, there's a help mechanic in this game, right? Because there's mechanics that we don't always use. And I've actually gone and I've told people before, like, well, you can always grapple him. Oh, fuck yeah, I'll fucking grapple him. Because it stops a certain...
That's a post-strength check.
It's a post-strength check, yeah. But at the end of it, like, you can do minimal damage. It's not that big a deal. It's CMD versus, like, if you're playing First Edition Pathfinder, CMD versus CMB. If yours is better, stronger. It's an option. It's just a different thing to do to provide things for folks to have. That's where, like, your utility spellcasters and stuff, too. One of the reasons why a buddy of mine likes to play wizards versus sorcerers is because he likes the utility of it. So when he tries to cast a fireball, he pulls out his D6s, D8s, whatever he's doing, and he rolls 8 or 10 instead of 25 or 50, right? He's rolling for shit. He goes, fuck this, detect traps. Screw this, I heal you. Fuck this, I do that. He wants a litany of different things to choose from, right? Because the utilitarian stuff in his spell book or memorized or whatever mechanics you're using, it just gives them something else to do if the dice aren't working. And honestly, I like the idea of, in my first edition games, one of the fun things to do too is that if you play a spellcaster, you don't have a lot of attacking to do. And a lot of the die roll is on the person has to make. I cast a spell. Do they make their saving throw? They're relying on Brett's shitty dice to make the saving throw. You got a pretty good chance, of doing something. But I think there's have you ever gotten to it, Sean, where your dice are just fucking cold and you just decide, you know what, I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to enjoy the failure. Just happens. I'm having a bad night.
I have, and as long as it's not, 2 hours of combat, I think I'm usually okay with the rash of failure, the unending failures. But it has never gotten to the point where I'm like, I've given up.
That's good.
I tried to,
I've seen people do that. Have you seen people do that at the table where they just fucking shut down?
Well,
I miss. I've had a guy.
I've seen it too.
Go,
yeah.
I fucking miss.
Yeah.
Dude, you didn't roll. I can't fucking roll. There. Just like, I literally watch a guy swat his die across the floor. See, I fucking missed. I'm like, grow up, you baby.
Yeah, I've seen Jeff do that, man. It's, but it's, Probably doesn't help when I'm laughing at them every freaking time too.
Well,
But anyways,
some of these folks are our friends we've known for a very long time. Kind of go, really? That's what we're going to do tonight? You're going to throw your dice at me? It's not my fault you can't roll.
But I've not. I will keep rolling with the punches and try to, just keep rolling the dice and seeing what's happened. Going forward, I would probably do what you were talking about. Buffs are fine, assisting is fine. I would probably go into more terrain based to just start. I throw a table between here and there. I throw this chair.
I love that stuff, man.
This person and that person. I
That's
sneak around. Sneak around.
Let me ask you this, man. If you're having a bad dice day and Brett decides, what I'm going to do, my caster's going to buff the fuck out of Sean because I want to help him out. Does that make you mad?
If I'm rolling crappy?
If you're rolling crappy. And the reason I ask is, let me give it
I've had people say it's a waste. Like, don't waste it on me. Yeah, don't waste it on me.
I had people say, don't waste it on me. I can't roll. I'm like, it's kind of tantamount to like flipping the table and throwing your books out in the snow type of thing. Like, what? Really?
I guess it depends on how low I'm rolling. Like if I cannot, I've had nights where I have not rolled above a 5, on a D20. And it's like, dude,
I've seen you do that actually.
Yeah. It's just,
I've literally seen you do that. Yeah. You're terrible.
Yeah, it's just like, forget about it,
Yeah.
But it's not, it's something I could come over. If I wasn't in a bad mood that day, it probably wouldn't bother me much. But I think if I had a crappy day and my dice end up pissing me off and I'm playing like pass fail, then it's probably going to exacerbate the issue. But going forward, I think, and frankly, I mean, I'm not playing 5e. And so and I'm running.
I was going to say there's,
I don't roll a lot of dice in Forbidden Lands.
True enough.
Like almost zero.
One of the fun things about running games, right, is that if you've got a bad night and the players are like kicking ass, that's fun. It's very fun for a lot of people involved because I personally do not give a shit.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I can't roll above a 16 tonight. Oh, I can't. I didn't hit anybody in the last 5 combats.
Well, I have players in Forbidden Lands that Harrigan had a rash of failing. Phil had a rash of, everybody's sucked one night at least, right? Maybe not Kevin's because he seems to be steady Eddie, but everybody else has had off nights. The problem, the thing is with that system and that game specific, it's not a big deal to them because it's an interesting failure.
I think one of the last couple episodes you and I talked about like, hey, because I had this theory in my head, like I said, learning new stuff about you even after 7+ years of being your friend here, and gaming and theories and stuff. I think one of the best things, I'll break my own rule here and talk Game Master for a second. I think one of the best things a Game Master can do is the fail forward components that you and I have talked about. Some of those, no, but yes, you fail, however, or granting those, hey, Sean's character flipped the big oaken table up, slammed the door in the person's face, dropped caltrops on the floor, threw pots and pans at somebody. Just handing out those bonuses, those bennies, that inspiration, giving those types of things, allowing for that role-playing aspect. You and I have talked about this off and on for years now, literally years. I think that's one of the best bolt-on things that you can do as a game master.
But the only thing is that there's games that don't natively support it. Yes, you can do it.
You can do it. You can still do it. And the reason I'm saying it, but not everybody wants it. Not everybody wants to change
never going to let
games.
me. I don't think Doc will never let that fly with me. And I say this because I think with some of those games, and I hate to bang on D&D because I think it's a fine game, but it is a different game.
I think that is in Dungeons and Dragons, in my read of it, I'll just say it. I think that is a failure of Doc in this specific case. I would say it to his face. It's a failure on your side to not allow the creativity, because there's enough nuance within that rule set around inspiration, and other components, there is enough nuance there that you could let something happen.
Sure. But I think Doc, and I'm only putting Doc on the spot because I've run for him and his game of choice usually is 5e or whatever. But, there's plenty, I think here we go. If you're a 5e D&D lover, Sean at gamingandbs.com.
He hates you.
I think that a lot of DMs that run D&D, and not only, but I think when they run that game and you fail, you fail. That's it. End of discussion. I think by giving you any more than that, then that's shorting the result of failing. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's this weird thing, like, I think sometimes it comes down to adversarial GMing, like us versus them, or him or her, us versus him or her. And so when you roll the die and there's a target number of 15, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got it written down right here. This is what they need to hit. Oh, 14? Is that it? No others? No pluses? Nothing? Oh, yep, you missed.
So there's different components there's hit or miss. There, ambiguity in combat, whether I do damage with my sword or not, is different than do I do something creative to give advantage or pluses or get a bonus of some kind. I swing.
And I agree. Like, I think
that's what I'm talking about. And that's where we as players, when I'm failing, I try to add as much flourish as I can to what I'm doing. Like, look, I want to try. I'll waste this entire round. I've said this before in a 5e game. I will waste this entire round doing a flourish of like martial arts master sword flippy Bruce Lee nunchuck bullshit just to try to dazzle him for a minute. Now, granted, in Pathfinder, I think there's actually a feat for that. But I've said that type of thing before. Now, I can't quote myself verbatim, but hey, I will waste this whole round in order to set myself up for a bonus next round. And the people who have run for me have go, all right, you want to waste this whole round just to get a +2 next round? Good for you.
Yeah,
damn right I do. Now, again, I think this is where the art of the game mastering comes into place. And I think one of the things that we as players, when we're leaning into this and we're having fun, if the game master asks us for stars and wishes and they want to ask blah, 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 one of the feedback loops that we can help with when our dice suck on a regular basis, Brett, Sean, raise our hands. We both suck at this. One of the pieces I would tell that game master is like, look, I like playing D&D with you all. I like having a good time. My dice are terrible, as you well know. I would like more fail forward options. I would like the ability for my cool role-playing stuff that everybody gets a kick out of, and everyone's having fun with, and the group goes, oh yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I'd like you to at least grant, inspiration to somebody or do something in that case. I think that's a type of feedback that as players, there's ways to provide that feedback. That could be that would be more well received perhaps than other ways. Saying, hey, douchebag, you're being a dick, right? That's not necessarily the best way to go. But and because the reason I'm saying all this, Sean, is because the answer of, well, you just should play games that is a very trite answer in my book and that's cute. I have 5 friends I love playing games with. We have a really good time. I just have really bad luck with dice.
Well,
so I should make everybody stop playing the game they all love just for me. That feels very selfish sometimes. And I understand that perspective because I've been there, right?
I think
not that you can't ask for it, but
I think that if I were to be in a situation as a player and my dice are real crappy and I tried to find creative ways to still partake with, knowing the dice are crappy, I would probably be more apt to doing things that aren't going to make my characters now. And I say this when we're talking about crappy dice, I am all in 5e mode. A D20, roll the die, target number, fail, pass. That's it. Like those are the games.
So think about your Delta Green game you ran. They failed a lot of die rolls, you told me.
They did, and they get checked. They get an incentive, right? check the box. They get it to go up.
Doesn't maybe,
but it's something.
It goes up.
D&D,
yeah, kind of.
You fail, you're done. You're finished, done.
Yeah, but you still get experience at the end of the session.
Not based on your roll.
Don't need to, because that's how the game works. The only way to progress in Call of Cthulhu basic role-playing game is to fail stuff so that you can improve your skill.
Correct.
That's it.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, though, is that regardless, on a percentile system, I've had a 80% chance to do something and failed all fucking night long. I made a guy who's an antiquarian in Call of Cthulhu. I did not make any fucking antiquarian-based roll. Couldn't library use my way out of it. I couldn't read a book. I couldn't fucking find a book. I couldn't, I was lucky I could tell what a book was, basically.
I think the failures in those games, failures like that do not bother me. Skill checks, okay, I failed, bleh, no big deal. Oh, I think I think when it really comes down to is really when it comes, for me personally, it'd be combat.
Combat is the big one, but if you think old school, I shouldn't say old school. I've not read the newer version of Call of Cthulhu, but there are plenty of investigative adventures. We've talked about this before, where if you don't find the data, you're fucked. I rolled a search. You failed. You don't get it. The world
never
goes
make it based on a die roll. As players who have shitty die rolls, we should know better.
I get it. I understand. But if we're going to make allowances as game masters saying, hey, you know what? That clue, if you failed here, I'll move the clue. We'll do this. I'll do that. Blah, 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 blah. We've talked about that. Combat's tough, right? Even in Delta Green, you roll the hit and you fucking die. This is lethality rating. Clack. You take, God, 19 points of damage.
This is where we'd get into the game. We would be comparing games. For me, Delta Green, I wouldn't want to get in a fight, period. Like, that's just, I don't want
to.
Because that's the deal. In D&D 5e, that's correct. The deal, man. I'm a hero. I'm going to charge into battle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to roll my dice. I'm psyched. A 1, a 2, a 3. 1, 2. God, son of a like. This is where the other component is. I think 5e is not nearly as newly as like Pathfinder or 3.0 and so forth. I'm talking Pathfinder first edition. I do not know second edition at all. In a D&D game, when combat is such a front and center, it's a main part. There's an entire book about monsters because you're supposed to fucking fight monsters, right? It's based off a fucking miniature war game. Yeah, there's combat's a huge part of it. No doubt about it at all. That's why the help mechanics, your granting feats, any feat you have, any bonus you have, spells you can do to help people out. A friend of mine likes to take, when we have played 5e, he likes the defender fighter component. So even if his dice are cold, if you're within a certain distance of him, boom, he grants disadvantage to the person trying to kill you. Sure. So that person with this bad dice sits right next to the wizard. Sure, I can't do much, right? Because my dice are cold. But bam, that is a free bonus. I just gave that. The horrible troglodyte chieftain got through everybody, came up, tried to pound the cleric. No fucking way. You're within 5 feet of me. Boom, disadvantage, motherfucker. You missed. Because disadvantage is big. Or those types of abilities, picking things that are helping, right? I know friends of mine who like to play clerics, and in a D&D world, and one of the reasons they like to is because their dice suck. Right? Even if they can't hit, it doesn't matter. Their utility is through the roof. I'm healing people left, right, and center. I'm turning undead. I'm doing so many dice of damage for this or whatever. Automatic stuff that they have, right? Yeah, you got to roll to turn undead, or you've got to, rolling for healing hit points, but like, oh shit, sorry, I only gave you 5 hit points. Oh, it's better than nothing. Very few people turn that down. In the middle of combat, Yeah, but what I would probably do in those games is specifically like on the sidelines, do a bunch of stuff that really doesn't matter whether I pass or fail.
Exactly.
Is what I would look at it. I think the biggest one would be combat, where it's like, dude, I am a non-factor in this. So I'm going to try to do things that may help in some way, shape, or form, or just crawl around on the floor looking for people that have fallen unconscious and make sure I stabilize them so they don't have to roll death saves. Whatever
or if they're
that
bad,
is.
or if they're bad guys, I make sure that they don't have to stabilize. Stab.
Right.
I had
yeah.
a buddy of mine, old school, second edition game we were playing ages and ages ago. His character, the way the game master worked it, like, right, if you interrupted somebody trying to cast a spell, if you disturbed them in some way. So his whole thing was he had a bag of holding, and within that bag of holding, he had like gravel, tons of gravel, just loaded up with it. He reached in and just throw rocks at people just to like pepper the poor spellcaster with stuff. It was a creative thing to do. This is, older school style of play. But that, for me, I still want to, again, throwing out the play a different game, damn it, type of thing, is that whatever game I'm playing, if I want to have fun with this group of people, because I'm assuming I'm playing with people I like, at the very least, they're friends of mine, I'm having a good time. Like, wow, I really suck at combat today. That's okay. I'll find some other way to enjoy this game. Right. Yes, it can be incredibly frustrating when that happens forever and ever. That it can be incredibly frustrating. I totally buy that.
Well, and it helps. What I was going to get at too is it helps if you're going to do something like that, that even if there isn't a rule that says a improvised weapon is a chair or whatever that is, or hey, I'm over here. Like, even if I'm like, hey, Mr. Monster, I'm right here, Mr. Monster. Of course, there's going to be a roll for, well, do they see you? Right?
Maybe.
Of course, they're going to, maybe. Maybe, right. Is the roll there or not?
I'm going to say maybe the roll's there, depending on the game master. Yep.
Hopefully, there wouldn't be a roll if you're like, roll to notice. Then they're going to roll whether the monster goes after you or not, right? Which is, I guess, okay to some degree. That I could get over. But if it's like, hey, I'm just going to try to get their attention, or I'm going to start throwing stuff at them from a distance and, distracting them so that when the fighter gets up there, hopefully the game master, the DM, gives that person something based on the distraction. But I don't know, man.
Part of this now is that at the end of the, I shouldn't say at the end of the day, part of this to me is if you are doing all this stuff or ideas and this stuff, trying to find your fun, look off your character sheet, check your notes, right? That's a very easy one. Hey, we talked to Tybalt. We haven't talked to Eileen's NPC yet. We didn't talk to, Sarah. We got to talk to Tommy, that type of stuff. It's a great guy. It's really hard to, you could then fail your die roll talking to that person that pulled data.
That wouldn't bother me.
Yep. But that's a different, you can do that. I think that's cool. In a combat environment, in my mind, instead of blaming some of those games and saying this system sucks, blah, 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 there's an adjudication point for almost every game system that is seriously there, right? And this is part of the feedback loop. If you don't provide feedback to the game master and you don't say, hey, I would have more fun if, could we use this, distraction mechanic? Could I use this additional help mechanic? Hey, could we implement the flank rule, even though it's like an optional rule? Because
Brett,
it would give me
not every
something
game
to do.
master's like you, Brett.
Every other game master sucks. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
So I guess where I'm going here is that if the game master
there's a lot
is
of
like,
game masters that are like rules, man. What is this? What are you trying to do? Well, okay, go ahead, whatever. And then it's like back to the rule book.
that's fucking dumb.
It is dumb,
And
I don't think
dumb as shit.
That's
dumb. It's terrible.
I know, man.
That's terrible. And if
Dude, there's so many bad game masters out there.
there's a
I
shit ton of
can't
bad
believe
players
people
too.
are playing at games tables like that.
Oh no, I don't. I don't get either. And this is where, if you're doing all this cool shit, you're trying to have fun with the failure, blah blah blah. You're trying to get bonuses, do stuff, be creative, and so forth, and you're just getting fucking shot down left, right, and center. Why are you there? Right? If you're not,
it's my friends, Brett. It's the only people I can play with.
Yeah, I seek counseling. I can't fix that one for you, right? It's goofy. I get it. We could talk about, if you got a shitty game master, what do you do? I don't know, but
I agree though. I think all the things that you said are like, hey, what else can I do? Can I help? Can I assist? Can I distract? Can I throw stuff in front of them? Those are all great things. Absolutely. I agree. I hope, my hope is that the game master is as nice and as spirit as you, Brett, that says, hey, yeah, you're having a bad
you've
night,
done
man.
it.
You
You've
got
let
this,
me
you
do
got
it.
that.
You've run D&D for me, man, and I've had bad dice days.
And I
have
laugh at
played
you
with
and say, ha ha,
you
you
Jew.
suck.
It's sad.
Sorry, sucker.
I quit drinking until that point. No, I'm kidding. That's crass. I think the other thing here now is that if you're out there, you're listening, you're like, wow, I'm not a player. The fuck do I care? From a game master perspective, though, it's not like have pity, but listen to this stuff. From a raw player's perspective, I can tell you right now, as a game master, if you've got somebody whose randomizers are terrible for them, but they like every other part of the game. They love playing in the Forgotten Realms. They're having fun with D&D. They like playing Shadowrun. They're having a good time with this. They love Call of Cthulhu, but they can't fucking roll percentiles. They just are terrible at dice or whatever your randomizer is. It's not a have pity moment. This is how are you going to help that person have fun at the table, right? Other players, we can coach each other up and say, hey, yeah, that sounds great. That's a really cool idea. Yeah, Sean, I think you should get a bonus for that. We can do that stuff. I think as game masters, though, what I would ask people to do is to be open to that stuff.
Yes.
Right? If they're not now, literally think about it and say, what harm does it do? Because Sean isn't doing 1d10 plus 5 damage anyway. Motherfucker can't hit the giant. Why can't he just give an extra +2 to the other fighter? Where is the harm in that?
Well,
Sean
then that
feels
fighter's
successful.
got +9 to hit. That's what the problem is.
Exactly. Sean feels like he's doing something useful.
That fighter's crushing all my guys already. Do you want to give him another +2? Damn, Brett.
Nothing's changed. Again, I think you get where I'm going, though, dude.
I do, and I think you're right. I think it's a kind of a no-brainer with some of this stuff, and there's fail forward, there's making things interesting on a failure. It's doing things that.
But as a player, I honestly think, man, we've got to try. When my dice go bad, it's very easy for me to just depressed is too strong a term, but just get bummed out. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
I can't roll. This sucks. This game is terrible. Blah blah blah. And it's just a bad night or a bad day or whatever is happening. And if I could pull myself out of it by trying to be creative and find other ways to accomplish tasks, then I'm like, oh, cool. I'm kind of in the groove. And that's where I think game masters listening to that type of idea should be like, wow, this person's trying to have fun.
Yes.
At the table with everybody else. For the love of all that's holy, do not crush that. Right? Don't do that.
Right.
And I think that is, again, if the game master's ever asking for advice or not advice, feedback from the group, is to say, I'm trying to be creative and you're crushing my soul. Right? I'm trying to be creative. I'm trying to use some other mechanics. My dice are cold. Can you please, it can be a hard conversation, but it might be worth it. So anyway, I think we've hit terminal repeat on this one, Sean. So I think if anybody out there is listening and says, hey, I too have shit dice, or I've got a player who's got bad dice at the table, or a buddy of mine, she's got horrible dice. How are people dealing with it when your randomizers are failing you? And I frankly play a different game. Again, interesting, very trite answer. What's actually being done? Is the game master, even from a game master perspective, when you see that happening, are you implementing fail forward rules? Are you looking at something? Are you trying to find you see the person trying to have a good time? Do you have tips or tricks to try to help people out here? So anyway, let us know what you think. We good, man?
We're good, man.
Awesome.
Let's get to die roll. It's a pretty deep one this week.
Is it?
No. Die roll 2 to 4 miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery you want to share with you this week. I've got we've got one. And let's see. I wanted to put this out there because it's been under my radar for a little while. The Wachterhaus Crypt. This is by our own Phil McClory.
Really? God damn.
He's in my Forbidden Lands game. That's sneaky devil. I don't know if I ever knew he put this out there.
Well, goddamn, Phil.
Damn it, Phil. He's not even in the chat now. He wandered off to play a game or something. So you could find this on DM's Guild. That it's kind of an add-on for Curse of Strahd. So it's Builds on
Yeah.
events described in St. Andral's Feast, which is in Chapter 5 of the Curse of Strahd
Nice.
adventure. So a new monster, a new map, a new location, the graveyard. So if you haven't run Curse of Strahd, here you go. If you haven't gotten that far into Curse of Strahd, here you go. If you're thinking about running it down the road, here you go.
It's a good looking thing, man. Awesome.
Yeah. So give Phil some love.
Damn, Phil. Well done, sir.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Phil. So that's all we had for this week in Gaming and BS. Thanks for everybody that joined us in the chat for recording this live on YouTube Live. We record every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time US if you want to join us. If not, you can find the audio flagship show at your audio podcatcher of choice. If you do find this on YouTube, give us a little like and subscribe. We really appreciate. That's the thing to do. Just want to give you a friendly reminder. Other than that, man, that's all I got. Brett, what about you, bruh?
I think that's about it, man. Next week, we're going to talk about running multiple NPCs. So that came up from one of our other listener feedback pieces. We're going to talk about that. You know, when you've got your player characters run into the bar and you've got 10 NPCs to play, you've got 5 different people in the King's Chamber. Oh shit, there's 6 royal guards at the spaceport. Christ, how am I going to? So talk about how Sean does it, how I do it, and maybe there's some wisdom there, or maybe there's some really bad ideas you can all comment on later, but that's what we're going to talk about. So,
That's a good one because I run into having NPCs join the party, and then I run into them running into other NPCs at Eden's. And sometimes they're just a royal pain in the butt to keep track of. And
it can be.
yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yep.
I like that one, Brett.
It's a damn good one. I'm pretty
All right.
looking forward to it.
Well, for Gaming and BS, I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game, all.
This episode of Gaming and BS produced with help from the following BSers. Joe Swick, Old School DM, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Eric Jeppesen, Andy Hall, Chris Steele, Remy Bilodeau, Jason Hobbs, Mark Tasaka, Mirko Froelich, Pure Mongrel, Brett Pazinski, Brandon Barnes, Eileen Barnes, Dan LaValle, CW Mellencamp, Victor Wyatt, Craig Huber, Roger Braslett, Stefan Dragonspawn, Jared Rasher, Ray Otis, Todd Crapper, Jib Fitzpatrick, Old Scoozer Roleplaying, Christopher Lang, Curtis Takahashi, Larry Hout, Ron Bishop, Mark Richmond, Chad Glayman, Sky, Craig, Howard Bishop, Josh Wallace, Corey Welch, Angus, Eric Salzweedle, George Sedgwick, Robert Nemeth, Brian Kurtz, Laramie Wall, Eric Avia, Andy Olson, Jeff Seifer, John Kayward, Corey Gonzalez, Maurice, Niall Diamond, Aaron Ralia, Jeff Goad, Aaron Coleman, Brian Rumble, Rich Wishawn, David F. Baylog, Harrigan, Melissa Bashinsky, H.N. or Henry, Cole Kago, Eric Tavola, Hoos Carl, Ghost GM, Mike Hess Jr., Rory Weston, Jim Ingram, Daniel Garrett, Eric Frankhouse Presents, Phil McClory, Adam Grote-John, Jay Plata, Ed Nyes, The Duke in Purple, Isaiah Aries, Christian, Larry Hollis, AWOL Trooper, Craig Shipman, Todd Sharp, Orcus Dorcas, Chris Shore, Michael O'Holland, Wayne Peacock, Mike Coleman, Miniature Master, Kevin Keneally, Zagrave, Vornak, Farty McButterpants, Andrew Lear, Craig Chunglo, Eric Lunsford, Ty Prunty, Feeling Good Lewis, Ziga Pradzik, Nick Westbrook, John Mahoney, Crystal Eggstad, and Zalea. Hey, make sure you head over to gamingandbs.com/BSer Con. Register for a badge. Takes place January 28th to the 30th, I think. Event submission is still open, but will be closing soon in January. I forgot the date off the top of my head. Isn't that awesome? So make sure if you're going to run a game, head over to that URL and it'll tell you the date there. And then event registration will open up for people that want to play games. And then you can register to play with some other BSers. It's fantastic. Some games being offered are going to be Dungeon Crawl Classics, 4 or 5 Torches Deep, Savage Worlds, Deadlands. Oh man, the list goes on and on. Go ahead, check it out. gamingandbs.com/BSer Con. Thanks, BSers.
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.